Welcome back to the Cuyahoga County Soldiers and Sailors Monument podcast. I am Executive Director Greg Palumbo, and today with me I have a special guest, Frank Jamieson. Frank is notorious at the monument. He is the boy who was captured in the monument. The story goes, Frank is captured overnight, locked in the monument, finally gets frustrated and smashes a window out and throws a phone out in order to get the attention of passersby, and a police officer finally gets him, and he spent all night in the monument. That story has been convoluted over the years. We're very curious as to what the reality was and what that experience was like, and what were some of the things you thought about during that experience. So, thank you very much for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me, Greg. After hearing that explanation, I'm glad I'm here to set the record straight.
Good, good.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk. Let's start first by talking a little bit about you. Where are you from? Where are you now? And what led you to the monument that day?
Okay. Well, I was born in the Cleveland area, raised in Pepper Pike. Went to school from first to second grade at Moreland Hill School in the Orange School District. Then went on third to eighth through St. Francis of Assisi and Gates Mills. Then went on to St. Ignatius for high school, and then Xavier University for social work, and then went on to the University of Cincinnati for my master's in criminal justice. And then met my wife, and so settled in Cincinnati.
Yeah,
Now we have three kids, my wife Eula, and my son John, my daughter Trish, and second son Tom. And we live in the greater Cincinnati area still.
fantastic. Why social work? What brought you to that?
Well, honestly, going to Ignatius, there was a program called sophomore service, and we had to do service within the community, and seeing the needs of individuals in different circumstances in their life set something that I wanted to give back to the community somehow. And with that, with a combination of my faith, that's what led me to social work.
How was your time at Ignatius? This was what were the years that you were there?
The fall of 1980 to the spring of 84.
Okay. What was it like being in downtown Cleveland in the 1980s?
Pockets were pretty rough, especially around West 25th Street. And so it was an adventure. Many, many adventures going to and from school because I lived in the east side
Mm.
and had to commute to the west side. So
How did you do that commute every day?
I would usually take the Green Road Rapid to Public Square to the terminal, and then transfer either on a bus or continue on the airport line to 25th.
So, Ignatius at the time, is it the powerhouse football program that we remember? Not quite this year, but that we remember. Is it what is Ignatius like at the time?
It was beginnings of that. It was a transition into what the 11-time state champion program that it was. So
So you make your way downtown at some point during that. When is your trip down to Public Square, to your fateful locking in of the monument?
well, it was my freshman year at Ignatius. Um, it was on specifically Monday, September 22nd, 1980, and it had finished the school day. And usually I would be picked up by a family member at the end of the Green Road transit line. But for this day particularly, don't remember exactly why there was going to be a delay. I didn't need to be picked up for an hour later than I usually was. So transferring off of the 22 from Ignatius to Public Square, I thought, well, I've got an hour before I need to get on the Rapid to go home and meet up at the Green Road line. So I've always liked the monument. I was always a fan of it, and decided to finally go in and tour and see what it was like. My like of the monument started when I was years before. My dad and I happened to be in the Cuyahoga County Courthouse, and there was a mini model of the monument in there, and it kind of fascinated
Yeah.
the artwork and the beauty of it. So I'd always admired the monument from the outside. And I figured, well, this is my opportunity to actually go in and see what it was like.
Yeah. So when you get to the monument, you go in. Are you greeted by a caretaker? Is it just open? We we're unclear on exactly how our open hours functioned, especially in the 70s and 80s. So we have this period that we're not quite sure how often we were open, how we were open, if it was they unlocked it and took off and then came back and locked it up, or if it was a guided tour. Did you see anyone when you came in?
When I approached the door, it was the southern entrance, and there was a like a storm door on the outside. There was two green like wooden storm
Mm.
doors before the bronze doors, and the bronze doors were already open, so you would go in the green doors. Um, and the sign above the door said that it was from I believe 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and it was 4 p.m. when I
Yeah.
started going in. So I figured, well, I've got an hour till it closes, so I've got plenty of time. And when I walked in, you just walk in. I remember the caretaker was to the left by the desk. He was talking to someone. There was a third individual, third man, just kind of hovering about. So there was really no greeting or anything. And then so I would go in, and I went to the right around the side aisle to the back aisle, and I was just looking at the artifacts. And so I'm only in there maybe a minute and 2 minutes, and all of a sudden the lights go out. And then I hear a and I'm thinking that's not good. So I went around to the western aisle to the front, and it was closed. The caretaker, the individuals that were there, they were gone, and it was just the bronze doors shut, closed.
There have been a lot of stories that you were down in the tunnels messing around down there, and that's where you were missed. Do you remember going in the tunnels at all?
I was never in the tunnels,
No.
never in the tunnels, and that kind of came about later when they finally found me. So so again, I was only there for about a couple of minutes when I was locked in. So I started just pounding on the bronze doors, which were about 8 to 9 feet tall. They're like bank vault doors, and just started pounding on the doors, yelling for help. I'm locked in, and nothing. No one said anything, or no one heard at that time. And I noticed it on the desk on the side. It was along the southwestern corner. Um, there was a desk with a lamp on it and a phone, just an old rotary phone. And I tried using the phone, but there was no connection. I couldn't get through. So,
So that's been a big question. If there was a phone, which we knew that there was, why didn't you use the phone to call someone?
yeah, I because I tried and I couldn't get a line. And I don't know if it was one of those old you had to dial the
Yeah.
whole number or line or whatever. So I was like, that's not working. So I noticed in the corner by the door there was some cleaning supplies, like a broom and a mop and things like that. And there was an old push broom. So I started banging on the door with the bronze doors with the push broom and broke the broom, broke the bristles off the broom. So I'm just standing there with a broomstick. And I then just the thought occurred to me, there's a window. So in the
So about how long is this period that you're
about 5 minutes,
okay?
5 minutes from when I went in to now.
Yeah.
And so I decided I've got to get someone's attention. Banging on the door's not going to do it. So there's a brass railing along the perimeter.
Mm.
So on the southwestern corner, the western wall, southernmost window, I stood on the railing, which is about 3 foot tall. So I'm balancing myself on the railing backwards like this, and with a broomstick in my right hand. And so I just take the end and pop a hole in the corner of the western wall southernmost window.
Mm.
And within a minute or so, and then I start yelling out the window to try to get someone's attention. Within a minute or so, someone was banging on the outside of the door. Are you locked in there? Do you need help?" And it was a passerby. It was just a lady who happened to be around the monument at that time and saw the broken glass flying all over
Yeah.
the sidewalk. So uh, I'm yelling to her through the door saying, I'm locked in. I get some help. So it turns out that there was a traffic officer, a policeman, Cleveland policeman. Um, he was directing traffic. She wouldn't got his attention and told him, well, there's something going on in the monument.
Yeah.
So he came to the door, and so we're yelling to each other through the door. And I'm telling him I'm locked in, and so we go, well, I'll see what I can do to get you some help. But that's when the whole search for who runs the monument, who's the caretaker, who is the key. Um, so again, I'm only in there maybe 5 to 10 minutes, and they know I'm in there. Now I just have to wait and get some help.
Yeah.
Um, so And so again, it's a little bit after 4 o'clock. I'm not sure the time frame, maybe an hour or so. Someone finally does call in on the phone, and it was one of the officers from the Cleveland Police Department. Um, and so I gave him some basic information: name, address, home phone number, my dad's name, and so he could let my family know I'm not going to be the
Yeah.
end of the line for the train. Um, so once they got that information, they were able to contact my family, so they knew what was going on. But the thing was, no one knew who had the key. No one knew who ran the monument. No
Mm.
one knew who the caretaker was, or how to get someone to come and open it up.
So what are you doing in the interim when you're just waiting?
I'm standing there. I I had an opportunity to walk around a little bit and everything. I did. I really mostly just kind of stood there for the most part because I was afraid that if I was exploring in the back aisle again or somewhere, they'd open up the door and not see me and close it up again. So I just kind of stayed there. Now, there was one point that I walked around to the edge of the, it would have been the Eastern Wall, and I noticed that there was a stairwell, like a, with a led right into the
Yeah.
floor. But I looked down there. I was like, I'm not going down there. It was getting dark, no lights. I didn't know what was down there, so I just stayed put. I didn't want to create any more
So
issues.
no lights. Are you in the monument in darkness?
It's getting darker because it's at this time 5 o'clock or so,
Mhm.
starting to get dark.
But there's no electric lights on that, like the monument's interior lights.
No, and I noticed that there were fluorescent lights at the
Hmm.
time along the
Yeah.
perimeter, and there was like a string, and it was getting dark, and it was a string hanging down. So I thought it was a pull chain to the light. It turned out being fly paper.
Oh.
So I had a handful of dead flies. Oh, that's nasty. But then I noticed that there was a banker's lamp on the desk. So I was able to turn that on. So I had a little light at least
Yeah.
once it got dark out.
Mm.
But as time went on, it was getting darker and it was getting a little bit more creepy in there. And
Yeah.
a lot of the shadows of the figures were kind of like, oh.
So the police officers stay with you the whole time outside? No.
No, I don't know. There wasn't a lot of communication at that point. It was more or less just hang tight and we'll get help to
So
you.
you're just in there with your thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how long does it take?
Well, it was by the time, and in between this, um, my dad called in, so I was able to talk to my dad, the officer, a couple more times. And apparently, what was going on was the police department started contacting city council, the county commissioners, different people who were involved and might know who has a key. Um, and I guess County Commissioner Ed Feehan was involved at the time, trying to find out who ran the place. Um, Ironically, a former caretaker happened by and saw the hullabaloo going on outside. He was like, "What's going on?" They said the kid's locked inside. How do we get in? And he happened to know who the current caretaker was,
Yeah.
and he's like, "Oh, I know who runs it." So they gave him his name and number, and they went and got him and brought him down to the monument to unlock the door. But by this time, the Plain Dealer, the Cleveland Press, Channel 3 had all been notified also.
So, so that's interesting. You've brought with you uh, some press clippings from that incident, and you started to get some notoriety from this.
Yes, because it was by the time they brought the caretaker down, it was 8 o'clock at night. So I was in there 4 hours, basically just kind of hanging around, as you said, with my thoughts, waiting. Um, and so again, it's 8 o'clock at night, it's dark out. So they open up the doors finally, and all the TV cameras and the bright lights are like in my face.
Yeah.
So it's like walking out. And so I step outside, and then everyone wanting to know what happened, they bring me back in. So the press and the Plain Dealer are interviewing me and what's going on. And these are again some press clippings from the next day's newspapers. The headline: "The Cleveland Press: Lock Monument holds boy captive." The Plain Dealer: visit to monument is touched with pain. Pane upon him. And a picture of the window and the sign that says it's closed at 5.
Yeah.
And there's a copy of the transit ticket that I never got to use.
Absolutely fantastic. So the caretaker finally arrives. Does he have a reaction?
He's mad. And that's an understatement.
At you for being in the monument, for breaking the window, for having to come back?
All of it.
All of it.
All of it. He was not happy. Um, and, and we didn't really have a lot of interaction. Um, so I was basically just whisked away
Mm.
by my dad after that.
So what you're in the paper, there's a lot of notoriety. Do you have any more connection afterward as far as the window repair? We're interested in that if you knew anything about the window repair and what happened with that.
Yeah.
If there were any repercussions for any of the actions, either for breaking the window or by the caretaker for leaving you.
Um, okay. Regarding the window, um, basically the county took responsibility. They recognized that a county employee locked me in. So there was no issue with who was paying for the window. Now,
Mm.
the caretaker indicated that it was a Tiffany stained glass window. And the quote was, it was worth $40,000 or priceless. I don't know if that's accurate or not.
So
The
we
value.
know now that the windows are not actually Tiffany. They're in a Tiffany style, but they are a local artist named Wells that created the windows.
Okay.
And and we found those pay books subsequently that we were able to figure that out. But yeah, they are very expensive.
Okay. So I don't know what that would be
Yeah.
in today's money, but that was the quote at the time. Um, and I remember not long after that, they'd taken the window out to get repaired.
Mm.
Uh, and there was plywood in this place. I went back in the spring of '81, and went back and to kind of look around and see. Now, the caretaker was there, but I didn't let on who I was.
Yeah.
And so when I was talking to him about, so what's the place about? And I pointed out the plywood in the window. I was like, what happened there? And he was not happy. I tore open a wound. And again, not knowing who I was, he had some choice words about basically the idiot who came in and broke up the place.
we do have we do know who that caretaker was, and he is a character with more stories than just yours.
Mhm.
So we can imagine what that response may have been.
Now, one thing that again was listed in the paper was that uh, he assumed that when I came in, it was when he was outside taking the flag down.
Hmm.
And again, that wasn't accurate because I walked in and he was standing right by the desk. He just didn't notice me.
Yeah.
Um, but there was also an indication that I should have gone down into the tunnels. I guess there's a series of tunnels underneath, and I referred before that I'd seen. I'm
Yeah.
assuming the entrance to the tunnels,
Hmm.
but I wasn't going to go down there. So, so that's the whole tunnel story. So I never did go down the tunnels.
Okay. What did you hear about the monument as a celebrity in a movie?
Well, at the time, it was projected that the movie A Christmas Story was going to be filmed in Cleveland in 1982 at some time.
Mm,
Um, so with the monument being featured in the movie, the word was is that they had to speed up the process to fix the window, so they didn't have the broken window in the
yeah,
movie or the um, particle board that was or plywood that was in the
yeah.
window.
Interesting. So the movie, many people have seen the movie. We're in the background of the parade scene, and that window is the featured window on that corner as the parade comes marching past.
Right, when
Yeah,
the scene when the family's in front of Higbee's watching the parade, and
right.
the Wizard of Oz characters come through, and the monument shown in the background, that's the window that was broken.
Fantastic. What a great connection. This took on a life. I'm sure your friends and family are familiar with the story, even if the caretaker was not familiar with you when you came back. How did that go on in your life? Has this followed you around in a good way?
Let's say an infamous way.
Yes.
Being a freshman at an all-boys school, I mean, first of all, freshmen are like below amoebas,
Yeah.
so that, and being early on in the school year, it didn't go very well socially. I was kind of always like, you're the idiot that got locked in the mountain. So I just kind of had to live with that.
It has very much, the story has always been a an idiot from Ignatius. So Ignatius has always been tied to it. So I can imagine that there was a lot of it probably spread like wildfire within the school as far as who knew what and became this telephone part of the fun that started to create the legend
Oh,
of it.
definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. Well, again, I went right home and had to get back to everything. I had to do homework and get everything ready for the next day. I remember the plain dealer called, and I did a short interview over the phone with the plain dealer that night. But then everything was I had to get back to school and everything.
Yeah.
Now the next day was interesting, riding on the Rapid, going back downtown, and everybody back in the day would flip open their newspapers and read on the train going to town. So seeing the headlines on the train was very interesting. Um, and again, getting to school, the social aspect. I remember the first interaction with a fellow student. He was in my class, and he just looked at me and shook his head like that. We didn't even speak. I knew exactly what he was thinking. So that was kind of so being infamous about it or for it. That's kind of what the legacy was at school
Yeah.
for that. So just something I had to just kind of live with.
Well, that's fantastic. Your story is much better than what we've been telling for years and years, which has mainly been from the caretaker's perspective of being very angry. So we really appreciate you coming in. Uh, we're going to go over the monument, and I'm going to show you how to get out, just in case that ever happens again.
I would love to do that. I've been wanting to go to these tunnels for years, and I realized that I guess there are tours annually.
There are, yeah. We do tours the last weekend in April. Then we do it's a pretty big tour. We get about 3,000 people through. They come in the door you should have exited from, and then they head their way through and then on up into the monument. So
Okay.
yeah, we do a very good amount of business that weekend. We sell out really quickly on those tours, so a lot of people want that experience, and they sell out very quickly, but we do have standby lines both days of the tour. So if anybody isn't able to get tickets, they can come stand in line and we get just about everybody through. Doesn't
Okay.
guarantee a tour, but we do our best.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, well, fantastic. You brought a little something with you.
Yes. It's
Mind
for
if I
you.
open it?
Yeah,
Thank
you
you.
can open it.
Uh, a
A
keychain.
keychain. So in case you have a second key, you have a place to put it now.
We'll make sure that the authorities all know how to find that key. Thank you very much. We really appreciate you coming in.
Oh, thank you for having me.
And thank you all for joining us. we're going to head over to the monument and see how we can get out, and maybe we'll take through a few bits of pieces of this story. Uh, Thank you for joining us. The monument is open every day, 10 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. And trust me, we do not lock the doors until 5:30 p.m. This story has made it so that we make sure that we are there to the end of the day and that everything is clear. We double check. So please come on down and join us. You can see where Frank smashed a window. We're going to go take a look at that as well because, boy, I've been wanting to know which window it was for a long time. All right. Have a good one, and thanks for joining us.